Hello everyone! So during those commercial breaks, I was also trying to get a hold of Masa. Officially at this point moved to the losers bracket and will shortly officially be disqualified, which usually comes with some type of ramification because, as far as I understand it, but of course wait for Rifkin's say-so, he did confirm he was going to be here, and not showing up without any notice or hints is no gusta. So hopefully he shows up for the losers bracket. As it is, we are in the winners, as Scarlett gets the def win over Masa, and I guess in the spirit of winning against Masa is down in the right corner as the pink Terran. That's Scarlett right there. And in the top left, as the yellow Zerg, he is Neeb. For those of you who missed Kings of the North, they did play an off-race game for the finals. They swapped afterwards, which technically they really weren't supposed to do, but okay. I can tell you right here, right now, with some authority, that they will not be able to switch back to Protoss and Zerg respectfully. And we'll have to play this series out as a TvZ. So definitely not what I was expecting. I'm gonna just make a tweet to update this. Oh my god, tweeting on both accounts. It's hard work, guys. It's hard work. I'm freaking out and getting all stressed. Gotta take a shot of whiskey. Oh god. Alright, so again, for those of you who weren't able to watch Kings of the North, they did play this. Scarlett is, as someone says in chat, notoriously bad at Terran. I can back that up. This is the one race she really does not play. Obviously, we've seen a lot of her Protoss play, and that's been fun, and she's been quite good at it. Maybe not, like, you know, literally GM #1 on Korea good, but pretty good. Terran, as far as I know, she doesn't play much at all. Maybe like 2v2 or something like that, I don't know. But she was able to throw out an all-in against Neeb that he was unable to defend against. So Neeb, as far as I understand it, does play an okay amount of Zerg. Has since, I guess, stopped playing Terran entirely since he swapped a couple years back. And is okay at it. By that logic, you'd think that Neeb Zerg would be better than Scarlett's Terran. But as I said, Scarlett was able to take at least one game from his Zerg, so we'll see what happens. Now, she knows what bothers a Zerg player. Neeb would have the general idea of what bothers a Terran player. And it looks like she thought that the Marine first would be quite bothersome, but Neeb, knowing the locations for the Overlord, does hide it, keep it secure, and is now chasing that Marine down. As these do have to be pulled, and this is a little bit chaotic. Also blocking out the timings on the factory, which is annoying. Highlands are being produced, by the way, but that game that she won was an all-in with Liberators, with Reactor Liberators, Hellbat all-in, which is very old school. It wasn't even very popular when it was being used, and she might be doing the same thing again, but this would be severely mistimed if that were the case. Neeb, I think, remembering this, goes for the Overlord speed first, and will be able to scout it no problem. His problem really wasn't the lack of units or the lack of scouting, although that was both problems. I would say mainly it was his lack of positional play. His queens were in an awkward place, and then his lings weren't plentiful enough to help queens that were in an awkward place, and he died. This time he should have advanced notice, although it was, didn't really go all the way back there to see the armory. Alright, and have his units in better positioning. Bruce Moose 96. Thank you for the 21-month resub. Hey, I'd quite like my form to get my Partooth coin. Buddy, that's actually on you. Thank you again for resubbing 21 months, but we've explained this to, you know, a few people. Perhaps you've just been unlucky enough not to hear it. Oopsie doozy. Made a second Laren accident. You have to message PM, not whisper, PM, BaseTradeTV to request the form and get the ball rolling. And then you'll be sent it. Pink Terran is probably, it's actually one of the best colors on Terran. Anyways, we have Mech. So she's not going for the same all-in. Maybe this was because it was mistimed because of the opener, but she is going for a Hellbat push of some variety. Brought the Marines with her, and then the medevac as well. Liberator will follow up to harass some of the outside corners, and this is a more typical, I would say, Hellbat attack than what we saw her do at Kings of the North. But Neeb has a lot of lings. He has an okay amount of queens. Takes a terrible fight on the ramp, And because he doesn't really have a lot of queens, this really isn't enough, is gonna get barbecued here. Neeb, if you play Zerg at all, one of the first things I learned from Snoot is that build queens and feel like you have the best defense in the world against anything for the first 7 minutes of the game. Apparently Neeb didn't really get that memo. But he is trying to target fire the medevac, of which he does micro at the last second, but not enough. Takes care of another couple of lings and is looking for that last queen. This one should survive, I guess? But his Neeb was also supply blocked for a second or two. So that's awkward. And because Scarlett is going for Hellions, she can continue rallying forward. We should go for mech, sorry. She can continue making Hellions, continue rallying forward. Liberator comes in here, almost like salt in the wound. Nice. And more Hellbats. More and more Hellbats. 5 drones have not gone down, but the real trouble hasn't been in the numbers lost. It's been in the numbers ever made. Scarlett is having surprisingly good macro. She got factories, armories, 4 command centers, which isn't really the usual, but hey, okay, it's a use of minerals. And 51 SCVs. So Neeb at 35 drones, 3 bases still. Not in a great position. Why is this happening? Because they're goofy. Nothing in a rule states against changing their race, but it's a little weird. They choose their most office races as possible. Okay, Spire and a Baneling Nest. Does Neeb not realize it's mech? Well, now he does. Banelings and Hydras still good against mech. Spire still good against mech. I don't know about Banelings and Spire together. They kind of, they take away gas from each other, even more so than Hydras take away gas from Banelings, and don't really complement as well either. The Banelings can take care of the Hellbats, but then where Hydras take care of Medivacs and Thors, with the help of Lings anyways. Mutas don't really. Mutas would die to the Thors, but we'll see what happens. As I said, he can take care of the Hellbats with the Banelings, and then the Mutas can be really annoying. They're going to force out a couple more Thors than perhaps Scarlett really wanted to go for, as well as a lot of stack defense, and give Neeb that map control that he is desperately missing from having taken so much damage early on. His creep spread is not bad, but it's pretty mediocre, and no 4th base still. And once again, supply blocked. +1 flyer attack on the way. Neeb might just do mass muta. So Neeb did play Terran in Heart of the Swarm, where mass muta was the worst thing in the world. He might be thinking to catch her off guard by actually going mass muta again. Most players who open up Spire against mech aren't really anticipating being able to go into mass muta. They make 10, 12, hell, maybe even 15, but counts of 20 or 30 are just really not usually what they're going for. But with the +1 flyer attack, that's making me question if that's his plan. Already losing so many mutas, though. There's been Widow Mines with the turrets, and the Thor has been microed with the medevac very well. And he's down to 5 mutas after losing 8 of them. Scarlett now takes her 4th base as an orbital. That's usually not what you're supposed to do, but because she's dominating in this game, I guess she feels confidence. Another command center is going down as well. Her production is now set up and ready to go. And continuing upgrades from Double Armory. Looks like Rifkin is around to send Bruce Moose his form. So now he can get his part 2 finally. Yay, it's happening! Aha! You have to worry about that with Zerg, do ya? Ha! Huh. That's Killer in Tech Lab. Goes for a 2nd starport. Wonder what she's going to go into for late game mech. So Neeb, by the way, not having a very good position in this game at all. Try to catch up with the mutas, didn't really work out. Is given a lot of time here. Scarlett, just by choosing to go mech, was going to give him more time than usual. And then above that, Scarlett not being an actual Terran player is going to give him even more time to perhaps recover. But now would be a good time to fight. She probably... Well, actually, her army's really not that bad. Hellbats are being made here. The Widow Mines might not be useful. If there were a lot of Banelings, then they would just probably be killed before they got their shot off. Although she's not grouping them. So they would get a lot of shots off. But yeah, there's a lot of Banelings. There'd be a ton of Banelings collapsing in here to take care of the Widowmines and the Hellbats, and then help out with the Thors as well. So Neeb is trying to get centrifugal hooks right now, but he really had to wait to build that ground army because his mutas had to be built first, and they really didn't do a whole lot, and his economy had to be got back up. So there are Hydras, just not a lot of them, and now a terrible position where they have to go down a ramp. That ain't gonna work. Muta's just was trying to find some way to help out. That's not gonna happen. Teoflage. Oh my god, why? Teoflage. Thank you for the 500 bits. You'll be casting games to remember. To do brand 100 bits. Thank you. And that is a very strong mech push going up the ramp. Mutas have seemingly found the 5th base, turning into a planetary. But this Hellbat army is looking pretty good. GG. Scarlett takes game number 1 as Terran. And apparently her Terran's better than his Zerg. The only reason I know anything about Neeb Zerg is that I think No Regret mentioned it on the couch. But he might have been wrong. I mean, I don't know the exact wording he used, so maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I heard that Neeb does a little bit of Zerg. Starting to second guess it. Some players do adapt easier to other races than others. They also adapt easier to other styles than others. And considering how they both play in their main races, it does kind of make sense that Scarlett might have a little bit more fluidity to a different race, just like she has a lot of playstyles as Zerg. Whereas Neeb, definitely more of that guy that has those crisp builds, macro player most of the time, Protoss player, which do emphasize crisp builds. That maybe, you know, he'd have to warm up a few days first to get back into the groove of playing Terran, more so than Scarlett would. I don't know. They're both ready to go, and we're getting into Ascension to Ire. See you soon. It's game number 2 in this weird series. In the bottom right has the pink Terran. She is Scarlett. In the top left has the yellow Zerg. It is Neeb. What a weird thing to say. Thank you for all the bits that are coming in. This is a very weird series. And it feels like Scarlett just has the better idea of what to do as Terran. She's following up a solid macro game. Well, I guess she did Hellbat attack, but that wasn't really an all-in. So a solid macro game with the 2-racks. It does seem to be just a 2-rack, so hopefully her gas timing's on point. And Neeb, will his defense be on point? He has gone for a hatch gas pool, which is not unexpected from a Zerg player, but is a little scary to go up against 2-racks with. His Overlord is being sent in a way that would scout a 2-racks. It might barely miss, though. Here you go. Here's the trajectory. No, I would see it. It would barely see it. If you actually send the Overlord right here, though, ready to scout the main base, I'm pretty sure it doesn't see the 2-racks. And no, she never had a gas, so it's going to be the 4-racks. So, going for the real all-in here. Neeb does see the corner of the barracks. He's going to scout further and see that, hey, it isn't the 2-racks, it's the 4-racks. And that just means a lot of Marines. Well, it definitely should be the 3-racks, but her SCV's already going to go build a bunker. Overlord is going to be secure on this little podium, but the bunker has to be dealt with somehow. I was hoping to spawn when we had a break, but I guess not. Bunker is up. And that's bad news for Neeb, who's trying to build a spine crawler, but in the natural base it's going to be difficult to do. Marines are going to be able to pop out of that bunker and pop back in without his lings saying much about it, because they're still slow. So damage could have gone top of the spine crawler, and even if it doesn't, even if it still gets up, it's going to be very low. And when it tries to reroute in a better position, that can be target fired. Two other bunkers creating what is mostly a wall. Spinecrawler positions itself in a very awkward location. Unfortunately, it's still not close enough to a bunker. Repositions again, but the hatchery's getting very low. Speed's about to finish, but will it really help out against 3 bunkers? She never actually added on the 4 racks, so this makes it official 3 racks, which is a little bit weird. But alright. Plenty of minerals to put the bunkers down, I guess. Queen is going to go down, Hatch is going to go down, and Neeb does not quite know how to handle the 2 racks, or 3 racks, or whatever racks is going to be. She does now add on a what? This is like a between game going on here? In between a 2 racks and a 4 racks? Alright, that works. But the point is, whether he... Well, maybe he knows the logistics of dealing with a X amount of racks proxied. The actual execution was not there, and it is looking grim for Neeb. Thank you very much to Snipe Hunt for the big bit donation. 2,500, is it? I can count on the fly, because I can't open up Twitch alerts right now. The action is heated, guys. Marines pop out to take care of the Spinecrawler, leaving the bunkers, 2 of them alone, but 1 bunker full of Marines is still enough for this amount of Lings. Bailey Nest is on the way, but this doesn't even work out with the Lings. GG. And that is the end of game 2. Scarlett with the 2-0 lead is Terran. Going to be going into the potential final game. At this point, I believe Mazda is just going to officially be out of luck. And won't be held in high esteem after this, so... Awkward. But guys, we're going to go into another break. Thanks for watching. Be back soon with game number 3. 2 minutes. Could be the final game. Another TvZ coming at you in the top right. As the yellow Zerg, he is Ting's Neeb. In the bottom left is the pink Terran. It's Team Expert Scarlett. I love these intros. Who made them? That'd be Rifkin. Seems like Scarlett has the better grasp of the off race. Neeb did make an attempt to play Terran. Asked if he could. I said no. I think adhering to the rules is pretty important. And the rules do state that you can't swap between games, just between series. Which I think everyone expected Scarlett to swap the Protoss, but... Actually, her Protoss probably could have... Yeah, definitely could have beaten Neeb's Zerg. I don't think he would have wanted to go up against her Protoss. And then she definitely would not have wanted to go up against his Protoss in a PvP. That would be insane. At TVT, Scarlett did think she was going to lose, though. And I would tend to agree. I think Neeb would still have a lot of his mechanics from playing Terran for so long. And TVT has only changed a little bit. So I think he'd be good to go. The thing about TVT that I think it's one of those matchups that's even like more likely you could surprise someone who's really good, better than you, than like say a ZVZ Ling fight, is the early 1-base shenanigans that can happen. Actually, I should rephrase that. I think if someone's better than you in TVT, they're probably still gonna win. But I think if you face someone who was better than you but hasn't played in a year or 2, then you're gonna win. The meta changes in the very beginning of TVT is just like, it's so insane and so potent with the cyclones that I literally had that happen to me at the Psystorm LAN, where someone who was always beaten me as a Terran player came back after a few years, and I just like rolled over him by building cyclones. It was actually the easiest match of my life. Anyways, it's not TVT, it's TVZ, and you best stick with Zerg. He obviously knows where to put his overlords, so he has like some of the grasp of some of the mechanics of Zerg, but it's really just the reactions. And Zerg's that race that is so difficult to swap to because you die to the stupidest things for the first 100 games, even more so than any other race you play. Everyone dies to stupid things for the first 1,000 games, and then you kind of get a hold of your flow, I guess, of your race, and you stop dying to really stupid things. And Brood, we had to play approximately 10,000 games to stop that from happening. But anyways, I think Zerg gets the worst end of that deal because even more so, even if you are good with your race, even if you have your mechanics down and your flow down, you don't scout that one armor, you don't scout that one Dark Shrine, and it's like, rip. Goodbye. Anyways, that was my elaborated way to say that Neeb has the ideas to be a good Zerg, but his reactions aren't quite there. Yeah, this is not a show match. This is actually going to reflect the TING results. Moss actually showed up. He could have time to play in the losers match. Is that I'm actually trying to say that Zerg is the hardest race? I'm trying to say that Zerg is the hardest race to swap to. I think you die to stupider things for longer than if you swap the Terran. Because Terran, like, you can wall yourself in with a, you know, somewhat decent build, so like not too greedy, not too aggressive. And since you make both economy and arm at the same time, sometimes you win even if you're not expecting something. Zerg, because you can definitely over-drone for the first 1,000 games. You just die to the first 6 Helens, you're like, oh, I'm a bad Zerg player. Oh, that did not work out. I do have an opinion on what is the hardest race, but I'm definitely not going to say it. Fusion Core is on the way, and we could be seeing Liberator range, which would be interesting of her to bring out. As a Zerg player, she must know that this isn't really that great of a build anymore. But Neeb going for a Baneling Nest right now, and quite a few Lings could just be trying to deal with a potential Hellbat attack. He keeps going to go for Lord Speed, but he, you know, even with the Scout and the Armory in that first game, still had trouble against it. And okay, I thought he was going to scout that Fusion Core. Yeah, it's not a Hellbat he has to worry about. He doesn't really need that many Lings. Just you know, Queens to really ward off the Hellions initially, and Lings to chase him down if necessary. Certainly stop them from rising up into that natural, but oof, taking some bad trades. Neeb doesn't really go for a lot of extra queens. He technically only has 2 extra queens. This third one is from the third base. Is Protoss? Oh, it's Protoss confirmed. Nah. I see people praying for battle cruisers. I mean, if this was Rifkin playing, I'd be totally on board with you. I'd be then. That's right. All right, double armory, follow-up from Scarlett. And he's going to go into mech again. Makes sense. I think mech's a very obnoxious way to play against as Zerg, so she probably doesn't like it that much. But also is one of the easier ways to start off playing Terran as a race, since it requires a little bit less in the micro department. It's a little more brute force. You know, with bio, you have to learn how to do parade pushes and pressure and do drops, and that's a definite mechanic of the style, whereas mech, of course, the more aggressive multitaskers can make mech blossom in that way. It's not necessarily needed in the earlier stages of your learning, which these guys are pro gamers. They're going to be good at almost, you know, any race, any style they choose, but not as good. Ton of Hellions becoming a problem, as they don't turn into Hellbats. Banelings aren't really that effective against them. Looks like Scarlett perhaps meant to baits. Yeah, she did. Baits the army into the natural, goes into the third base. Could even get a couple of decent shots on the Banelings. 22 drones have gone down. The Liberator finally has cleaned up. The Hellions are finally cleaned up, but that was a ton of damage. And again, Neeb having the right ideas, but just not being in the proper position. "27 drones. Damn. Once again, Scarlett adding on that 4cc. I don't want to I don't want to talk about it too much, because it's really not that bad of a thing to do. It just is, this would usually be considered very greedy by the mech player, but possible, pretty greedy. That's a 5th CC. Okay, scratch everything. That's stupid. That's just her messing up her macro. Oh my god, she didn't have any missile turrets. The Jiren Bay was late. Oh no. She's desperately trying to get at least one of them up, but she's not going to be able to repair it. All the SUVs will be dead by then. Repair, repair, repair. Oh, repair! Now trying to get Widow Mines. Did she ever get an armory? Yeah, she did. Where are the Thors? There's no tech labs. Oh, there's no tech labs in the factories. Oh. Well, you know, Neeb has died to a number of silly things. That's why I kind of brought up the, you know, how difficult it can be to play Zerg initially, because Neeb was doing that, right? Like, he had the right ideas, and then he'd lose 20 drones to a couple of Hellions and feel like, you know, really bad about it. Finally, we get to see Scarlett mess up and not have missile turrets in time. Lose 23 SCVs herself. Have to cancel even more missile turrets. This CC won't die, but it's a lot of lost mining time. This is like finally the Terran that I wanted to see from Scarlett, because when I first heard she was going to play Terran, I was like, oh, I've heard how bad her Terran is. How many times can she mess up? But To be honest, even though that was really a catastrophe, I mean, look at her supply, there is still a chance she catches up again. That was, that was so bad. Because it hit at a very pivotal point. Like, literally a pivotal point because there weren't any missile turrets, and that is obviously the biggest deal. But then in another way, a pivotal point because it was while she was getting production. If she had production during that, well, the meter's dealt with easier, but also she's building an army at the same time, or at least trying to. Because her production has been lackluster, only 3 factories, and stalled because she was microing everywhere else, she doesn't really have much to look at her supply with. I mean, down 30 workers, down 20 army supply. One thing she has going for her double upgrades, which she is continuing on with. But now Neeb getting one of the most cost-effective units in the game, used correctly anyways. 9 swarm hosts on the way in a game where Scarlett is trying to turtle as hard as possible from taking so much damage. These are going to get so many locust waves off. Yeah, she's gotten high sec auto tracking every single time. I don't know why. She must, as a Zerg player, think that it's pretty good. I wouldn't agree. I mean, it's okay, but I don't know. Wouldn't mind try to catch the mutas, but looks like they missed most of them, or just didn't shoot at all. So, yeah. Swarm hosts are gonna take a long time to deal with. She could get banshees to try and help out, especially since she's taking care of the mutas finally. But mules even go down? Oh, harsh. Note that she is on 5 orbital commands, so maybe that's not so harsh. I'm really questioning this game. Drilling claws. All right. Well, so generally, when someone plays the other race, you know, like, oh, I win as Protoss, but I don't play that race. It's so easy. And then they play Protoss and they make a bunch of adepts. They hope to win. Right? That's how everyone thinks that's going to go. So that's why I think that Scarlett thinks that mech is good, and high sec auto tracking is good, and Widow Mines are good. But there is that possibility she just really has no idea what she's doing and is getting whatever she thinks helps right now, not what she actually thinks will be helpful later. That's, you know, they're both equal possibilities here. But I'm paying a lot of attention to how much damage she's taking. Look on the other side of the map, Neeb has expanded twice, 4th base and 5th base, gotten to 82 drones, and is on his way to a greater spire, something that I'm not sure Scarlett would actually have the means to defend, or even the knowledge to defend. Of course, playing this matchup daily, she knows that Thors can be good, that Vikings can be good, but can she actually use them in proper placement? You can know a unit is good in X circumstance, but to actually use it is an entirely different problem. And considering that most of the games she's won as Terran versus Neeb have been under 8 minutes, I'm not sure she's prepared to deal with this. Oh, Swarm hosts do have their Locusts ready to go, and she does not have a lot of Hellbats protecting those tanks. She could morph them right now. Might not be so bad. But Hydras, so many Hydras getting on top here. Liberator's not gonna be able to help out very much at all, and Neeb's about to take his first victory against Scarlett's Terran. There's really no other army. This is really it. And that's gonna be game. GG. Neeb takes game number 3. There is my cat, having climbed Mount Everest. He decides that to jump off is the best way to do it. Look at the magic that is technology. Keep going. Damn it. Okay. Magic. Okay, so I didn't really expect to make number 4, but I guess now I gotta figure out what that is. Odyssey. It was definitely a surprise when they asked me, but I was happy to do it. Alright. Focusing on the game, there's still this very weird series. In the bottom right... Oh, there we go. Oh god, now I just got rid of everything. In the bottom right, up 1 still. 2-1. It is the pink Terran Scarlett. In the top left, as the yellow Zerg, he is Neeb. I wonder if Zombie thinks her Terran would beat Scarlett. I think I could beat her in a TVT. but I could definitely not beat her in anything else. So they're just messing around. I mean, depends on what type of toxicity you're looking to do, depending on my answer. They aren't practicing Terran or Zerg, I can tell you that much. Like, neither one of them is going to change to Zerg or Terran or whatever. And this is their debut. Like, they are just choosing to play different races. There could be something to said about Neeb not wanting to show his Protoss versus Zerg against someone who has taken games from him, whereas versus Jon Snow, so far he's gotten undefeated against. And there could be something to said about Scarlett, I guess, being afraid of Zerg's or Neeb's Protoss, but no, I'm thinking they just agreed to have a little fun before getting back to the competition. But you'd have to ask them, I suppose. What do we have here? 1x expand. Double gas taken. Wait a second. That's a really fast second gas. No, that was a CC first. Yeah, I was like, wait a second, something's off here. Where's my mind? I am drinking a little whiskey, but I'm not drunk. CC first into 1x, the factory. I mean, she did that the first game too. I wasn't paying attention. I was still getting over the idea that they were going for TvZ. Anyways, yeah, double command center, double orbital now. So Neeb, not doing anything aggressive himself. It's funny because the CC first actually works out against a pool first. The pool first wouldn't be able to send Lings out over fast enough to get the command center. The next match is going to be Masa versus Jon Snow. He finally appeared. Apparently he just hasn't been sleeping very well and overslept, I guess. So we're happy that he at least shows up for something, which is going to lessen, you know, the blowback, but still not great. Something an alcoholic would say. I'm not drunk. Well, you know. Try not to be. That Ling might have just barely seen that factory. That wasn't the best placed factory to keep hidden from the front, but... Alright, it did. Blue Flame would be an interesting throwback. She already did that once, but it is a reactor and a tech lab being added on for the barracks to swap on over. So mass Hellbats is the way it's going to go. I would say in this circumstance, perhaps Roaches would be fine to have, but I still think that mass Banelings could be the better answer. Once upon a time, when Hellbats were first created, so this is, I guess, back in Heart of the Swarm, people thought that Roaches were the necessary way to deal with them, but really, time told that they were just an unnecessary unit that cost too much supply and too much money, when really, Lings that you're going to get anyways dealt with them fine, and Queens too, and then Banelings if you really needed them. So I said mass Hellbat, not because, you know, Hellion Cyclone isn't a thing, because that's obviously the first thing that would come to mind with this build. It's that Scarlett's been doing older builds as a Terran player, so I was just kind of recalling, I suppose, she'd do it again. But no, she's doing what is still used nowadays, even by some of the greater Terrans, but it is definitely a cheesier build. One that doesn't work out so much anymore, since it can be scouted and it can be dealt with. But we'll see if Neeb knows exactly how. In this circumstance, then, Roaches would be very helpful. More so than, well, actually, I mean, it really just is the amount of units you have and how you take the army fight. Like, the Roaches can help out against the Hellbats, but honestly, getting Hellbats taken care of by Banelings and then the Lings around the Cyclone is the perfect ideal way that you would do it. And then, yeah, mass Queens would also help. Thing is, Queens help against any scenario that Neeb's been up against. In every single one of these games, actually. But he just really doesn't like mass Queen, I suppose. He's been going for that okay amount that gives you a little bit of creep spread. But, but doesn't give you much protection. What's the armory for? Turn them into Hellbats, baby. Hellbat coming through. Should bring a couple SCVs. Not too many. Not super all-in like Lucanine does. Neeb is going for a Roach Warren, but it is a little bit late. So the attack's already commencing. He's added on a couple more Queens than he usually does. Although one might die. They turn into Hellbats. Repairs can go down in any unit and be pretty good. Roach is still late. Bailey Nest still on the way. Perhaps he thought it was Hellbats? I don't know. His tech, his response to this seems late. Like, he scouted it, and all these things, if he had planned on going for them, should have been a lot sooner. Gonna buy time with the top of the ramp. The SVs cannot repair that one Cyclone at the front of the army, but it wasn't target fired. It lost a lot of health, but didn't die. Reinforcements being caught by the Lings, but still a couple of Hellbats left over to barbecue them. A lot of Queens trying their best to transfuse through this, but they're gonna need some support. Balian has finally finished his. Roach is finally out. Are there enough of them? Still 4 Cyclones. +1 was not involved in this, which is usually the real kicker. And I think Neeb has held. He's about to have +1 Carapace, which is really going to help. He's flooding in units here. He's almost out of gas units, or, well, gas in general, so it's going to be difficult to make Roaches. Transfuses are all gone as well. The Queen's still sturdy. Of course, the SCVs have been lost in the front lines. Scarlett is expanding behind this, and there is finally that +1. Layer's on the way now for Neeb, because he realizes he's got to get going with the rest of the game. He did lose his 3rd base. He's now stopped at 38 drones to Scarlett's 44 with mules. And Neeb is banking a lot of minerals too, because he doesn't have the production. So even though he held that, Scarlett might have done enough indirect damage to be okay. Eventually, she might want to transfer out of Cyclone Hellbat, but considering that she saved most of them, if not like all of them, she lost one Cyclone. I think, and she sees that he's continuing to go into Roaches, she could probably just continue to go Cyclones and win. If Neeb doesn't get those nicer rounds to the Lings, if he's without his Queens, you know, they're caught off of creep, Cyclones will rip through Roaches. You know, I said that I probably, you know, I think I have an okay chance against Scarlett in TVT. I might take that back. I hate playing against mech players, and she's clearly, game number 4 in, a mech player. God, they're so annoying. I just kill her in the early game. That's what would happen. Hatchery has to be instantly canceled. I'm surprised he even got that in there. So many Cyclones. Their +1 is about to finish. Someone negated by that +1 armor, which Neeb is probably feeling very fortunate that he got. Thank you very much to Lumberjack for the 10-month resub. Who needs football when you have Thursday night BaseTradeTV? Oh, yeah. Is football on Thursday? I thought it was on Sunday and Monday. Am I not a very good American? Are you making plans to kill Scarlett? Well, I faced her in a 1v1 3 times, I think. In Brood War. Or maybe it was twice. And she carrier rushed me, and she DT rushed me. So... doesn't feel very good. Nidus Swarm is on the way. Neeb does have a lot of Roaches. The Queens have gotten a lot more transfuse energy. And they just need to get into a position where they could actually help the fight. Off of creep, not really. With the Nidus Swarm, they spread the creep instantly, and there's still a decent shot at the Nidus Swarm working. NFL is Thursday, Sunday, and I think it was on Thursday. All right, there's the Nidus Swarm. Scarlett does barely see it. She does, but is she noticing it? It's a bit of a yellow blob on your minimap. Oh, okay, she sees it. She's pulling the SCVs, but there's nothing back here to help out, so she's got to decide to go for the all-in. She's going to get the Roach Warren. There's like half of the Roaches back here. She would clobber them, try to fight, but then the other half of the army is over here against nothing, basically. Production's going to get torn down for both players. Neeb desperately going back into the main base, making so many minerals. Scarlett, same thing. She has that 3rd base up. She could just start mass expanding, lifting her bases. It's turning into a real base trade. Trying to break up the ramp was going to be a little bit difficult, but Cyclone's just powering through Roaches, even with their upgrades. Her armories aren't being touched, which could be a big problem. Her getting to +2 attack would be really beneficial for the Cyclones. Roach Warren is being rebuilt in the backside. I guess he's gonna be able to rebuild that, but he's not gonna have any larvae to build Roaches with. The last few of the Roaches are gonna be taken out here. Cyclones are damaged, but if they could go home and get repaired, that would be just huge. Currently, the army supply is even, but of course, her army will take on the rest of these roaches, no problem. And he has not rebuilt his base. He's down to 3 drones. There it is. 2 more drones looking for other bases to take. She's already taken another one here, already floated everything that she possibly could. And she still has all of her cyclones alive, despite them being very low. I think she might have only lost 1 in that just most recent fight. Where ICV's pulled away. She's still on 26. Not bad at all. I think that she should just focus on repairing. Not only did she get +2 to finish, but she also got +1 armor to finish. This puts her army in a very good position. This was very Diamond League, kind of. I'd say Masters. I know, like, for, you know, different leagues, they're more difficult for people to attain, but trust me, Masters League is not that impressive. Oh, hatchery's being taken everywhere. Drones, no, Cyclone's finding the hatchery. I got so confused. Like, she's usually pink, but she's also usually Zerg. Like, oh my god. Cyclone's finding the hatchery, gonna be able to take it out. That is his last hatchery? No, he's rebuilding in her main base. Neeb, I guess credit to him. It doesn't really look like an obvious GG from him. To us, of course, it does, but to him, perhaps he's thinking the Cyclone count doesn't really look that bad. I mean, Neeb was never Terran when Cyclones were a thing, so... Perhaps he doesn't realize. Maybe he's not clicking on their upgrades. Scarlett's up 30 army supply, but even on an even army supply, her Cyclones are really good. Really good. I just got maps and I was happy. Screw you. Sorry. GG. Okay, Neeb does realize that he's just SOL here. Scarlett takes the series 3-1 as Terran, and will get out first in this group. Not what people expect looking at the bracket, I'm sure, but is nonetheless what happened. So, she does no longer have to play. Neeb will fall down to the decider match, where you have to face the winner of Jon Snow versus Masa. Masa is here, so we'll be playing that as soon as their vetoes are done. Oh boy, what a crazy series. I'm still very surprised at how decent. I mean, I want to see her go up against a different off racer, because maybe Neeb Zerg is just like much worse, but she seems to be okay at Terran. Meching Terran. How good is that, really? Alright. As I said, Jon Snow versus Masa, I believe, is coming up next. Masa is online. But first, we gotta do our commercials. Reminder, this is sponsored by TING. Great company to work for. I use their mobile phone service as well, so I can attest to how good they are. They are for US only, but if you are able, willing, interested, check out btv.ting.com. They get $25 off your bill initially, which sometimes is just your bill, so kind of like a freebie on us. And support esports as well. So guys, I'm going to take a longer break, get the series ready, and we'll be back with the losers match.